Hey y'all, it's your girly man Ramawi Doster with another episode of my so-called disabled life. So we are still very much in the snowpocalypse, y'all. And I guess whenever we post this, I hope the snow will be gone. But New York got the most, and I guess Staten Island got 24 inches of snow, which is stunningly wild. I mean, luckily the city has been really great at removing it. But in some of the outer boroughs, yeah, look at my granny. I'm so sorry. And it's only because we keep acting like snow has never been in New York, which is hilarious and wild to me. As someone who's grown up here, been in New York my whole life, seen multiple snowstorms, and still some of the officials are like, "We've never seen anything like it." And I'm like, "Where were you in 1994 when we also had 20 something inches?" So yeah, so hopefully the snowpocalypse will have snowed along and be out of the way. So yeah, so I'm stuck in a house probably for another week or so because me and my metal legs and the snow and ice is that'll mix. That'll mix even a little bit. And teleportation ain't a thing yet, so I'm gonna just have to stay my ass right here. Yay! Which is fine. I've got plenty of YouTube to watch, and work to do. So yeah, so I'm so excited to introduce Rosanna. As you guys know, have been on a path this year to chat with and interview whole new people that I've not talked to before, don't know very well, but we're gonna learn them and be introduced to them together because I think that's super exciting to meet new people, learn about new people, especially on an international kick. I don't know, y'all. I've been meeting all kinds of folks and we're just going all over the world. So, and New York is an international place. I'm being international. And so we're meeting all these folks. So I'm so excited to introduce Rosanna, and she's going to introduce herself to you guys as well. So here we go.
Hello, thank you for having me. It's so nice to be chatting with you finally. I'm
I'm so
Rosanna.
excited. Wonderful.
What shall I
Oh
say?
yeah, yeah, no, I so this is all good, it's all good. So I start off every interview asking people basically like, who they are and why they do what they do. So
Mhm.
who is Rosanna and why do you do what you do?
So I'm Rosanna Haigh. I am an artist, designer, and disability consultant in the UK. And I work as a freelancer doing design with disability in mind, as well as consulting for businesses to make their work more inclusive, particularly in the theatre at the moment. And yeah, I'm doing it because I am a disabled person in theatre, and I grew up in the theatre as a disabled kid and was very aware of how things were not really as good as they could be. And then the older I got, the more I realized like there's some really easy stuff we could do. Like it's really simple changes that people just don't want to do. So yeah, that's why I do it.
So that is so awesome. I love that you turned your experiences into a way to help other folks to experience the theater and experience art. So that's so awesome. So my first question with this is one, what are some of the accessibility features that you've been seeing that are necessary in theater? Because I know what's going on in New York, and they're
Mm.
awful with accessibility, which is wild to me because the majority of their patrons are elders, and the
Yeah,
elders are using mobility devices, and it's like, where's
yeah.
the disconnect? So, what are some of the things that you find that are necessary to make it more accessible? And two, how have you used your disability to make things more accessible for people?
One of the main things is like actually access into the buildings. A lot of the buildings are very old in the UK, but even in the modern ones, it's always an afterthought. So one of the things that we do when we come in as consultants on the shows is to be there right from the beginning and say, you have to be thinking about all of these things throughout the production, right from the beginning, not come in at the end and go, can we get a wheelchair in here? No. Oh well, we've already spent all the budget. So yeah, that's one of the main issues. But also obviously disability is so varied and diverse. And really I think it's getting people to just think about it right through everything they do. Like is this going to be difficult for people who can't do flashing lights? Is this going to be difficult for people who are at a lower level, perhaps, or need different light levels to see? Do we have captioning, etc.? And how can we incorporate that creatively? Because often it is an afterthought and then it doesn't work very well. And then the result that we get is people saying, oh, well, it didn't work, so it's not worth doing. But it can be, and it can be really brilliant. So yeah, there's so many things. I mean, the same access issues that you have everywhere else, you have them in the arts. But I feel like I don't want to say it should be easier, but because art is all about innovation and creation and self-expression and helping others see perspectives maybe they haven't seen before, it should be so integral to the work. Especially as you said, because a lot of patrons are mobility aid users and people with disabilities. I do think often as well, older people are sort of discounted from the disabled community, even though they are people with disabilities because of their age, and they're expected to just miss out on things, which yeah, doesn't make sense to me.
I have seen that so many times
Mm,
that people are so dismissive of older folks.
yeah.
And I think that sometimes that might be why they're dismissive of their own needs, because they're like, well, it's not that important, or well, I lived my life, I'm good, I don't have to. And it's like, wait, what? No.
Yeah, it's like you're still living your life now. It shouldn't be over
Yes.
just because now you have a disability. And
Hello.
I think it's partly a generational issue with the attitudes towards disability. Like I know over in the US there were the ugly laws. So people did not see disabled people. It was not allowed. And even though we didn't have laws quite as extreme as that over here, we didn't have rights until like the 90s. And people were still institutionalized. So yeah, I think it's quite a new thing that people are getting over this stigma.
No, absolutely. And I mean, the ADA here has been here 34, 35 years. And so
Mm,
I'm older than the ADA,
yeah.
and people still act like it's, first of all, either not a thing, or that since the ADA was put in place, everything's so perfect now. What are you guys talking about? What do you need more rights for? The ADA is great. If you have a problem, just call the ADA up. They'll fix it. Like, what? There's no number for the ADA.
No, it's like here we have the Equality Act is the most recent iteration of rights that support disabled people in the UK, which really it should have been updated because it didn't cover enough. And it's not really enforced that much. And people just think, oh well, there's a law, it's against the law, so you can't be having that problem that you say you're having because that's illegal. And it's like nobody cares that it's illegal because
And
no
it's
one's
just like,
enforcing the law.
and it's wild because folks act like people don't break other laws knowing it's a
Yeah.
law
Yeah,
and get away
exactly.
with it. It's like, if people are breaking other don't you think that they would break that one as well? Like,
Yeah, it's wild. I wonder as well, like, I think that I've noticed over here a lot is that people think they're very surprised that people discriminate against people with disabilities, but they're not surprised about other kinds of discrimination. And it's like, well, you'd expect misogyny, you expect racism, you expect homophobia, transphobia, but people are so shocked that when you tell them someone's been like ableist, it's like, no, that's really normal. That happens all the time. Yeah,
and
bizarre.
it's so normal that, like, when I've told people that, they're like, that didn't happen. That's not
Yeah,
true. Oh, oh,
yes,
you're being too sensitive. Or, oh, that's not a it's okay, it's not a thing. What are you talking? And it's
yeah,
just like, okay, sure. I'm gonna just take me and my metal legs elsewhere, because you guys are
yeah.
clearly not seeing the forest for the trees with that. Wow.
No, and that's very convenient. I think to be
Mhm.
able to dismiss people, it means they don't have to look at the issue or acknowledge that maybe they are part of the problem and have been in the
Yeah.
past and be like, well, no, I didn't do anything wrong ever.
Mhm. Because if they
but
have to look at themselves, then they might have to say, "Oh, snap, was I discriminatory?" And
yeah.
when you don't see, and I've told this when I do trainings all the time around, like, equity and inclusion. And when I tell people,
Mm,
"Oh, hey," just like if you say, "Oh, I don't see color," or "I don't see a disability," then it's like, guess what? You're not going to see the discrimination either.
yeah.
And they're like, "What? Oh my God." And when I say certain phrases or certain things that are discriminatory, they're like,
Mm,
"How? Wait, no. Oh my God, wait, did I?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, you did. I hate to break it to you, but yeah, you did. And you
yeah.
shouldn't do that again. And you might want to
Yeah,
look at yourself." you know?
for sure. It's so important as well, like, for people to get comfortable with that discomfort. Like, I think it's something we all should be doing because there's always gonna be things that we've learned wrong or that we've not been educated on. So, yeah, I think people are
Mhm.
very defensive, but it's okay to get it wrong as long as you're gonna then make it right again.
Absolutely. I
Does that
think
make sense? I mean, yeah.
it makes sense in the weirdest way, because it's like, you guys, here we are on this earth together, the spinning earth, just living as human beings together, trying to be, at least I try to be a good person and not, be a dumpster fire to folks. And I think there's a lot of people on the planet who also try not to be dumpster fiery people. But then there are some people who don't care. And I'm just like, well, why though? So I think it's a whole mixture of
Mm,
shenaniganing again. Like, no, absolutely. So you spoke about having a disability early on and having to deal
yeah.
with the inaccessibility of the theater. So can you talk about, like, your disability and basically not having much access growing up, and how you kind of, I hate to say, I don't want to say overcome, but how you dealt with it in real time?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting the term overcome, isn't it? Because it's one that people, especially non-disabled people, like to be like, "Oh, they overcame it," and it's like the obstacle was very inconvenient, and it didn't have to be there, and it wasn't the disability we're overcoming; it's the inaccessibility that we're having to very awkwardly live around. Yeah, so I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. That's my primary condition, which is, for anyone who doesn't know, connective tissue disorder. And then with that came a whole lot of other comorbidities, some of which we're still trying to figure out what category it fits into to give it a name. But I was also born with abnormal vision, visual snow syndrome. So um, I'm not blind, but I am visually impaired. And the level of it varies. And we didn't figure that out until I was 14. So I just thought I grew up able passing, so people didn't know I was disabled. I'm pretty sure my mum did, because she was also disabled, and she had ME when I was very small. Um, and yeah, so trying to figure out all these things growing up, but because I like looked, I mean, not that there is no look for a disability or a disability, but people don't realize that. And I looked, average. Um, but I was struggling to read. I was struggling to catch up in school. I couldn't do maths at all. Um, I was quite behind in like growth. I was much smaller than the other kids. I think it was me and one other kid who had dyspraxia who were teeny tiny. And it all made sense later in life. So the access at the beginning, it was quite difficult because I didn't realize that it was an access issue and that really what I needed was like more advanced education. Like I don't know I think people still use the term special education in the UK, but obviously that's a bit patronizing. But it was special ed when I was at school. So I should have had that. I should have had, just more time and patience, but also my physiological side of things was quite difficult. And I was just being told, oh, you just have to get on. Everyone else is doing it, so you're just making a fuss. When actually I was like dislocating joints and having frequent injuries and having viruses just all of the time. Because my immune system's never been that good. So this is long, but that was the beginning. And then as I got older, I acquired more disabling conditions. And with EDS, it tends to really hit you in your late teens to early 20s, and that's when you're more likely to develop more severe complications. So I started in the theatre very young. I think I got my first acting job when I was 11, and I got fired because I couldn't read well enough, and I didn't give me the scripts ahead of time. And then moving into the theatre, I was really into physical theatre, I think, because I didn't have to read the scripts so good. I didn't have to remember the words, but I could still be really creative and expressive. And then as time went on, that got more and more physically difficult for me. And I was working with other disabled actors. I started working in when I think I was 16, um, with community theatre with people with communication difficulties and learning disabilities. So that was really eye opening because they were dealing with higher support needs than I had seen before, and they were still doing such a great job at creating and expressing themselves. But I really got to see how difficult it was in terms of them accessing the material in the space, and they needed a hands-on team of people who understood what they were dealing with and had the skills to communicate with them. And they had this wonderful woman, who I learnt a lot from, who was fluent in BSL and worked specifically with people with communication differences. Um, so that was like the first time that it was really like, some people need more, they need more support and they need to do things differently, and that's okay and actually brilliant. And you can come up with so many things that you wouldn't if you're just doing things the same way we've always done it over and over again. Sorry if I'm rambling a little bit here, but going back into the memories. But yeah. Um, so that was really cool to see, and quite important for me as a disabled person who had been I tried to hide my disability because it kept ending up with like not good responses if I'd say, actually, I can't do this. Could I do this a different way? And people hate it when you have to do things a different way, even though it doesn't hurt them at all. And so then when I finally went to uni, I took a special interest in theatre and design specifically for people with disabilities, and to try and fill that gap. Um, because I left the acting world and decided to do the design side because I thought it would be more physically safe for me. And I was just really fascinated by all the different ways that you can adapt costume and props and set to fit all these different kinds of people instead of just following the same old, same old. Um, but then, as a wheelchair user at drama college, it was very difficult to access the space myself. So that was sort of the last straw for me in terms of like just being like, this is fine. We can work with this. And in the end, I was like, you know what? It's okay to we got to get angry about it and do something. So I'm trying.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing that whole stream of consciousness, because I feel like some people don't, especially folks who are not disabled, and
Yeah.
even some people who are disabled. First, there's folks who automatically assume you get tons of supports and helps and guidance or accessibility, and then they're like, oh well, maybe you didn't ask hard enough or good enough, or you're not well versed on reasonable accommodations. And it's just like,
Mm,
first of all, why don't you hold these institutions accountable? Like,
yeah.
I'm not the one to hold accountable for this. And also, you're blaming the victim by saying I didn't ask hard enough or well enough,
Yeah.
or any of that. And then you're dismissing the experiences, and there's clearly there. It's like it's
Yeah.
not like it's just been you or me. There are so many examples.
a
And it's
hundred
like, are
percent.
you are you just being willfully ignorant,
Yeah.
or do you just not care? Like, which is it? Which is a
Yeah.
wild place to be with that. Yeah.
I think that there is some element as well where it's like a lot of people, they don't know about reasonable accommodations or that they're allowed to ask. So on one hand, yes, it's useful to ask people like, did you know your rights and what you're allowed to ask for? But then even if you do, it's not guaranteed. And often, even with advocates, people are doing so much fighting. I did actually speak to somebody for some research I was doing a few years ago, um, who works to help students with disabilities at drama colleges. Um, and she said that her most of her job was fighting with the tutors because they didn't they didn't want to follow the rules, and it was tiny things that people needed that wouldn't have hurt them at all and wouldn't have slowed things down, but they just didn't. They were just being discriminatory, basically. So
That's
yeah, I
just
mean, we
so
all know it
awful.
happens, but
No, for real, it really does.
mm,
And like I remember, I dealt with my lupus symptoms for quite some time before I was
mm,
diagnosed, before anyone actually
yeah,
like believed anything was going on.
yes,
And
yeah, yeah,
for a short time I had to get a tutor, and I had to fight tooth and nail to get a tutor in the house. And I was just like, you guys, I just had two freaking heart attacks at 17.
yeah.
And you want me to walk up and down these 6 flights of steps in high school?
Oh my
Like, what's wrong
God,
with you?
we
And
had
I had to
three,
be
and that was enough. My God,
it's
six.
just wild that I had to shame them into giving me a tutor.
Yes,
And
yeah,
it's
it's
just
awful.
I it's just and now looking back, like I'm 41
Mm,
now, so that was a long time ago. But thinking back, I'm like, because the tutor was actually great. And I wish that I took his because he was trying to get me to graduate early, but because I was 17 and I wanted to go back to school and see my friends, all my friends who actually dumped me because now I had
mhm,
a diagnosed chronic illness. For years, nobody knew what was wrong with me, and then I got the
yeah,
diagnosis, and they were like, "Ew, we don't want to hang out with you anymore." But I wish I just took his advice and graduated early, and had been done with it. But
yeah.
my brain was like, "No, go back to school with your friends." They were not friends,
Yeah. And there's
so
so
it's
much like there is that not FOMO because it's so much more than that, but this need to like to be with the flock in a way. So I
yeah, it's
understand
like
that. Mm,
being you were part of this community for however many years, and you felt like you had some camaraderie and connection with them,
mm,
and suddenly the thing that's been in your body forever now has a name. It has now been identified, and you're suddenly just you're garbage to them now. And it's just like,
yeah.
what is that? Why is that a thing?
I know
So
it's
that also
horrible.
that leads me to my next question of
Mm,
what was it like, as your disability it was there, it was already
mm.
developed and developing more. Did you have any like weird experiences with the people around you who were like your friends or even your family? I'm sure you did, or your family or
Oh,
anything.
yeah.
And what was that like?
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. So much. So I wasn't diagnosed with EDS until my early 20s, nearly mid-20s, I think, actually. Um, and I wasn't diagnosed with anything before that point. So, in my late teens, I had a similar experience of I missed a lot of school. I missed about half of primary school, and still doctors were not taking me seriously. And then, yeah, sort of late high school, I decided, okay, I have some trusted people, so I'm going to tell them. But I kept it so low key. So my friends were like aware that I had a chronic illness, but at the same time, I didn't really tell them what that meant, and I didn't really explain, and I just thought someone would see, but I was the master at masking. I was an incredibly good masker from a neurodivergent perspective, and,
Oh, you're an expert
um,
masker too? A word?
I'm so good at it. I'm so
No
good
one
at it.
ever believes me. Yep, I feel you.
It's so annoying. I'm like, why can't you just see that I'm incredibly unwell without me telling you about it? But yeah, so people didn't really know. Um, and then in uni, it wasn't until first year of uni, after I had my first seizure when I was 19, because I started to have more neurological complications from the EDS. And I started to miss a lot of uni because I was having fits and I could feel them coming on and I'd be like, I gotta bounce, I gotta go. And I would hide in the loos and have a seizure and then be like, I gotta go home. I gotta go home. And so people started to be a bit weird about it because in the theatre world, it's really intense. People, even though it's art and it's, you know, I feel like it should be a healthier, more positive environment, but it's an incredibly high stress, ableist, unhealthy environment for everybody, even non-disabled people. It's sort of encouraging them to get into situations where they then develop a chronic illness because you're not supposed to look after yourself. And they'll be like, oh, just get some rest. Just get some rest, look after yourself, but also be here 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. And if you don't, everybody's going to shame you for it. And so even after I told people in my first year, I am having seizures, I don't know what's going on, but I am having seizures, and I had them in front of other students and tutors, but they didn't look super dramatic, but like they were visible. People would still were like bitching about me behind my back, being like, oh, she's not really pulling her weight. At the same time as me, like fully doing the work, like getting the work done. Um, and having designed like some of the main things in the production that we were working on at the time. Um, and yeah, people were just, it was a really weird environment. And I saw it happening to other disabled people in the group, and I would be standing up for them. And I'm sure they were standing up for me if they heard it too. But there was another young person who had EDS, and I actually got diagnosed because they got diagnosed first. And I wanted to learn about it to be there for them. So there was good things that the disabled people came together and we helped each other figure out what was going on. There were several people dealing with chronic illnesses and we sort of found each other out and talked about it. Like, do you understand what I'm going through? Like, I don't know what's happening to my body because of this very unhealthy, very intense environment that we were put in because we were so like passionate about our work. And I think that's why we were chosen, but it also meant that it was easy for us to be completely swept away and not realize we don't have to do this. But yeah, people would come together and you know try and figure things out together. So I made some friends that way, but I did lose a lot. And when I finally, after my first year, I had to leave uni, and I became housebound and I had to be cared for by my parents full time because my body just suddenly couldn't. It just went so downhill so fast in that year. And one of my best, closest friends of all time now I live with. And not for 1 second did she leave. And most of the people just completely disappeared because I didn't realize. I thought, oh, these are like lifelong bonds we've made. In this first year, it's been so intense, but they're actually situational relationships. And I was no longer useful in industry. So I didn't have any value anymore to a lot of the people, I think. And it wasn't until I re-entered the industry and graduated that did some of those people pop back up again. And I was like, it's been 4 or 5 years. You could have reached out any time. Because I reached out to them. So yeah, it's difficult because you do lose a lot of people, but you also find out who the real ones are, which I'm sure you've experienced as well. You find
Oh
the people who
gosh.
they're the ones who are going to be there.
Yes, and I'm so glad you shared that because I think that some folks think that one, if your disability gets worse or if you're having symptoms in front of, your family, your friends, or even doctors, like they're gonna be there for you. They're gonna support you. They're gonna believe you. And that's like I was having strokes years ago right in front of the doctors, and they didn't
Mm,
believe me at first that they were actually
yeah,
strokes. And I'm like, my eyes are literally doing the Felix the cat thing. That's not normal. And then after
it's
like the
sad. I'm
10th
not
time,
surprised.
they
The
finally
10th
believe me.
time. Oh
But
my
I'm just
god,
like,
that's so
because I
many.
started having facial
Mm,
sagging.
mm.
And then it would go back and then sagging and it would go back. And they were like, oh, maybe you are having a stroke. And I'm like, what did I tell you when I got here? I was 23. That's why they didn't believe me.
Right?
Even though I
Yeah.
even though
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had the lupus and I was already
Hmm.
diagnosed and I already had 2 heart attacks, they
Yeah.
thought, oh, that's not a thing. And I'm like, thank you so much for being a dumpster fire doctor. Like, you're so awesome. Like, and this friend thing, that's oof. I've had friends over the years say the most wild stuff to me. And it's just like, I didn't realize that our relationship was transactional. I
Yeah,
didn't realize that I had to not have anything going on with me. Not like like it was drama, but it was just health stuff that I couldn't control. And it's just like, wow, you guys, how did I attract all these dumpster fire people in my life? Like, it's just wild. So I'm so sorry you went through that. And also
you
super
too.
duper same. Super
Yeah.
duper same.
I'm not surprised about the doctors at all, because that's been the my experience and every other chronically ill AFAB person's experience. I know. I'm sure other people have had it too, but those are the ones that are more common, I guess. And so far apart from each other in the world, but it's a very widespread issue.
It is a very international issue with folks with
Yeah.
disabilities. I mean, I do a lot of different freelance work, both paid and volunteered, and I'm helping this organization in Uganda right now. And a
Wow.
couple of the folks there who have disabilities who are working on this organization, they've told me this very similar stories. And I'm like, okay, from New York to Uganda to the UK, people
Yeah.
are just trash about disability. And we got to do something because there's
Yeah.
over 1 billion of us on this planet, and it's not like we just got here or like it's new. So like, what do we have to do to basically shake the shit out of people to make them like treat us like
Yeah.
human beings?
It's so weird as well, because there's so many different excuses for why doctors don't believe you or don't or miss the obvious. And like for me, it was like, oh, you're a child, you'll grow out of it. Oh, you're a young woman, it's anxiety. Or, you're just dramatic or whatever. And then the older you get, it's like, oh well, it's because you're overweight, you're underweight, you're old, you're menopausal, and it just goes on forever. Like there's no winning. And yeah, medical misogyny specifically is something I would really like to do more on. I talk about it. I've been doing the social media thing a bit, which is how we found each other. But I talk about it in my like lives with people, but I would love to do some videos on that, and maybe some, I don't know, pieces, some work, some art.
Oh,
Some,
absolutely. And I would love to help you with that because I've actually experienced that kind of medical misogyny and medical ableism
mm,
from other from yes, from definitely from men, but also other women
yeah,
who
it's
subscribe
baked
to
into
the
the system.
patriarchal. Yeah, it's baked into the system, and it's just
Mm,
like, you guys, why are you doing to me what they do to you? That's
yeah.
I just I it's the most wild thing. So I'm gonna shift gears a little bit
Mm.
and ask, so how do you, with all these shenanigans, how do you hold on to your disabled joy?
For me, I think the main way is through arts, and styling clothes have been always been very important to me. Um, and like right now, this is a jumper. I don't know if you can see it. It's a sweater, but it's fancy. Um, it's got
I love how you said
little
that. It's a
poofs.
sweater, but it's fancy.
It's
I love that.
fancy.
It's
Um,
cute.
but yeah, I think finding ways to like bring my personhood through, because a lot of the time, with my chronic illness, I do feel like a salty slug most of the time. I wake up feeling worse than I fell asleep. And then I spend about 11 hours of the day trying to get back to where I was. And I got to do it again. So, you can really lose yourself in it sometimes. I think it's very depersonalizing sometimes. Um, yeah, especially if you're experiencing a lot of pain, or you're just exhausted, and you lose your connection to your body sometimes. So a really important part for me in like reclaiming my own body and my own brain in a way, because I'm fighting neurological stuff as well, so it's like everything, there's a disconnect from everything, but I'm like putting myself on, and then I can see myself, and that's been really integral to me holding on to my joy and the little things that make me me, but also really fun because I love clothes and fashion. I studied it for years. Um, so yeah, doing things like that, dyeing my hair, doing the fit, and then more recently, um, I've been doing social media and making styling videos, um, where I've been showing people how I style my disability aids into my looks, and that's like something that I'm really proud of that I do, and it really helped me when I was first starting out using aids after years of trying to not need anything or being told I didn't need anything that was not true. And a lot of like disability aids are very they're not the cutest a lot of the time. They're not made with people in mind. They're just like not even that functional a lot of the time. And it's just like a lot of the time the fabrics that they use don't feel nice and there's so much to it. So finding ways to like work it in and work your personality into it. Um, I really love doing that. And it turns out that a lot of people have really enjoyed seeing that. And I've had people telling me all the ways that they do it and or that they hadn't thought of that. And they have been really struggling with having to need mobility aids or joint supports or medical aids of any kind, but seeing somebody else have fun with it had made them feel differently. So yeah, that's very joyful.
I love that so much. I put a lot of stickers on my rollator walker,
Yes.
only because I wish I could decorate it more, but I use
Mm,
paratransit
mm,
and they fold it up into the car. And I know because they're rough on my walker, I know they
mm-mm.
rip off anything I put on there because they don't give a crap about my
Oh
walker.
my gosh.
So I'm kind of like, damn, all I got is
Mm,
stickers. But now that's giving me some ideas for some more stickers I could put all around my walker
yeah.
because
One
those
thing
might.
I've done is I made a. Does your rollator have a cup? Have like a little bag?
It used to, and then I took it out because they kept ripping it off when they put it in the trunk. So I was like, I can't even put a damn bag on this. Never mind. So I
That
took it
really
off.
sucks. The one I
Yeah.
have, it's like it's integrated into you can't take it off. It's like it all folds together. So I made a new cover for it that velcros, and then I
Ooh.
can peel it off and put a different one on. So it matches my
Ooh.
outfit. That's something I want to make. I haven't made a video on that yet. I made that years ago.
Ooh.
So yeah, I'm really into the ways you can transform something that you use regularly.
Heck yeah.
Um,
Well, we're gonna put some links to these videos up in the show notes because I think there's gonna be a whole lot of people who would love to put some bling on their wheelchairs
yeah,
and walkers and crutches and canes. I had a friend years ago. She passed away, and I was so sad because
I'm
she
sorry.
was one of my thank you. She was one of my disabled homies, and she became an amputee. And then found me on social media, and then came up and met with me, and we actually became really close
Oh
friends.
my
And then she
goodness.
passed away, and I was like, God damn it, why? But she made all these really cute socks for amputees,
That's
and she
so
was
cool.
developing a whole system of like really cute patterns, and because she had
Yeah.
all this beautiful ink all over her body. And I
Wow.
was so jelly of all her tattoos because I have tattoos, but I only have like
Yeah.
9. She had like 60. And I was like, yeah,
Wow.
girl. So she was making little socks, and I always wanted to like continue Ivy's work and make some socks for amputees because
That would be
they were just
amazing.
so cute and so
Yeah.
adorable. And I'm just like, wow. And you're so right about medical things being just ugly, ugly as hell. And I think it's
Yeah.
because they don't. I think the medical industrial complex across the world doesn't see disability as something that should be beautified. They
Mm.
see it as something that's sort of like a burden or something that's
Yeah.
like, oh, it's sad. Oh, it's so why are we gonna make this pretty when it's so sad? But it's like, first of all, I live my whole life outside of the hospital. And even if I have medical things going on, that doesn't mean that my life is sad or that
No.
my condition is sad or that my mobility devices are sad. So
Yeah.
like
Medically, also, to me, it doesn't make sense because we also have to be looking after, if we're thinking about patients, what about the patient's mental health? Why does that not matter? Why does the feeling of the fabric against someone's skin that might be rubbing on their skin, why does that not matter? Like, it doesn't make sense. I
Or
think
even
part
like
of it is that it's a
mhm.
captive market, and we get what we're given if you get it through insurance or the NHS, for example. Um, yeah.
It's just wild to, and I mean also just like looking at how like the baby units, those are full of pretty colors and bright
Yes.
things because they just got in the world, but like we're still here, so why don't
Hmm.
the rest of the departments have pretty colors and brightness and like,
Yeah.
some sunshine and open, it's like the baby units so bright and cheery, and then the rest of us just doom and gloom and
Yeah.
you
It's
guys.
awful.
Shouldn't we be cheery everywhere in the hospital? Like, yes,
Yeah.
some people are sick and going through some things, but like you said, our mental health is important, and part of the healing process is having some beauty and joy, and not just like, drab gray and blue and brown and just like it just it makes no sense to me.
It
So
doesn't.
that's the great lead into my next question is, what are some things in the world that you think could use some changes, and what would you do and why?
Oh my gosh. Specifically in relation to disability, obviously there's so much.
There's so
I
much, go
did
on. It's all good.
I did go over these questions before, but now I'm like, what did I say? What did I think? I think, yeah, one of the main things would be that, I think hospitals and the way that we treat disabled people in relation to medical care needs a complete revamp. We need to start training. We need to change how medical professionals are trained because there's a lot of ableism and other prejudices baked in, as we already talked about, that then leads to medical negligence and issues. So you've got people with chronic illnesses and disabilities struggling when they shouldn't have to, in ways that they shouldn't have to. And we're told like, oh, it's too expensive or whatever. But it's like people's actual lives. Like it's your actual life. And even when I've had it in the past where doctors have been mad at me because they thought I had cancer because I had all the symptoms of cancer, but then it wasn't cancer, and they were mad at me, and it's like, I'm sorry, I don't have what. So there's things like that where it's just like there's too much ego, there's too much ableism, racism, misogyny, transphobia, etc. in the medical industry. And I think like that's one of the main things that can make a big difference to the disabled communities, because it would be nice to get treatment on time or at all. Um, so yeah, that's a big thing. I think outside of the medical side of things, though, um, I don't know how broad to be, because obviously it's like, well, if people could just be educated and not be ableist, that would be really nice. Maybe we could start there. But that's a big change that would take a lot, but maybe one day. Um, yeah. I think if we had more rights built in, and if the government would stop chipping away at all our rights little by little and telling everybody that we are the problem in all of our economies all across the world, and that the small amount that people pay in tax, so that should they one day become disabled, because nobody is immune, it does not discriminate, we can all become disabled at any time. Yeah, if they could stop acting like that's sinking our countries, I think that would be huge.
Absolutely. And I think constantly back to that quote that I heard years ago, that you can tell a lot by a country by how they treat their most vulnerable.
Mm,
And a lot of countries around the world treat disabled people like we are expendable, like we're not important, like we contribute nothing to the world whatsoever. And I know that's not true.
yeah,
So it's just wild to me that this is like all, I mean, it like also goes back to all the isms and phobias being very loud around the world. And I just constantly try to think about ways that I can counter some of that. And I
Yeah.
think that us living our lives out loud and proud, even if we're struggling with our disabilities, I feel like that does make a difference. Especially because when I was a little kid, I didn't see anyone like me
Yeah.
in the media, in doing things with City Hall, in the public like that because of those ugly laws. But also because people weren't seeing folks like me being out and about. And so I think that that is so important for the world to see people like us. And
Yeah.
hopefully it will make some more changes. That's my
I
hope.
hope so. I'm sure it does. I'm sure it's already working because I know for me personally, like I stopped hiding and masking so much the more I saw other people who had been either brave enough or they hadn't had the choice to mask because obviously that is a privilege to be able passing in a way. It has its negatives too, but um being able to see other people just being like, well, I just am, is so powerful. I think. And that's one reason I wanted to start doing social media. I started doing it. I've always been famously, not famously, that's completely the wrong word. Just notoriously also sounds wrong. Just incredibly unpopular online. Just like, what's a word that means like very much?
Infamously? Is it
Maybe, but then
really?
that is sort of an oxymoron, isn't it? They're just very unpopular online. I've never done well online. And then when it came to disability benefits, the government was trying to cut them in the UK very significantly. And they were trying to change the criteria so that people who couldn't wash themselves from below the waist down could lose all their benefits. They wouldn't count as disabled enough. And so I I was part of the campaign against those cuts. Um, and I just thought people just need to see us and just see us as people. And so I made a video quickly with a friend and it went viral, which was incredibly unexpected. But because so many other disabled people were feeling this fear and going through the same experiences. And so, yeah, even if you're somebody who's not like well liked or popular, whatever, it just try and we should all just try and put ourselves out there and be like, well, we are here and it's okay to be here. And I only did it because it was like I have to do something and I don't know what to do, and this is what I can do from home because I can't go out. And yeah, so I don't know if that was a bit of a ramble, but yeah,
I
it makes a
love that
difference
so
seeing
much.
people.
No, I love that so much because I think sometimes there's the stigma is also internal
Yeah,
and
for
folks
sure.
don't want to show themselves because of the things that they've convinced themselves because they heard it from other people. Years when I became an amputee 13 years ago, and I was surrounded by a bunch of people who made me feel ugly. Now
Mm,
I was less than. I now that I had no legs and one knee, like what kind of life could I have? And like 13 years later, I have a wonderful husband, a beautiful home, a bunch of different great jobs and projects that I'm doing. And my lupus is still here. I'm still an
mm.
amputee, but I couldn't see that 13 years ago because other people
Yeah,
convinced me that I was no longer a good enough partner, a good enough person, a good enough anything for anybody. That I was just, again, garbage. And it took being around other people with disabilities, other amputees who were so supportive and caring, and also showed me, oh, wow, that could be my life, or that could be my
yeah,
life. Like, this doesn't have to stay this way. And so I'm so, so glad that you put that video out showing like the reality of your life and the reality of what's going on because I think some people they don't know what they don't know. And they also have so many issues with themselves that they
yeah.
want you to feel that way too.
Yeah, so much
So
internalized
mhm,
ableism is such a big
mhm.
problem, especially for, I think, like, I was surprised because I thought that would be, a bigger issue in people who were like able passing, because like you maybe don't have to confront, you don't have people necessarily coming up to you and saying the weird shit they're more likely to do it in private, so people that you trust when you open up to them, etc. But I've seen it in everybody now. I think everybody's got it, and I'm sure that I do, and I'm constantly trying to confront it and get over
Mm.
it. But I think it's continuous work because there's so many external factors feeding into it all the time.
No, absolutely. And I think it takes that kind of intentional proactiveness to make sure that those inner voices aren't continuing with some of the crap that people are saying to us, because it's
Yeah.
very easy to get sucked in. Like, I've had so many people. I'm also a little infamous in New York because people don't like my big mouth. And I'm just like, well, oh well, don't be messed up to me or other
I think
people,
that's
and I won't have to say some shit. That's it. Don't start no shit,
that's
won't be no shit. Um,
fabulous.
but they're always like, why is he man walking up in here with all these short skirts? Why is she being all fresh with people? I'm like, first of fucking all, I have no legs and one knee. I have fallen so many times as an amputee,
Mm,
and I'm trying very hard not to be friends with the pavement and the
mm.
cement. So that means I'm gonna wear short skirts so that I can see my
Yes,
leg and my peripheral and not
yes.
fall.
Oh, because that helped. That's really interesting.
Yes.
I've learned something I needed to know. Thank you. That's really cool. I feel like I've made friends with the floor, as Doja Cat says,
That's
and
not the line I was thinking of too, because I have very much
made
made
friends with
friends
the
with the floor.
floor.
Yeah. In
Love
case
that.
y'all don't know, Doja Cat has a song and she says that line and it's hilarious and funny, and we both resonate with that. You're welcome.
Yes,
Thank
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure she's talking about being drunk, but for me, it's a
Yes.
very similar experience. I fall. I'm like, I have to tell people in certain circumstances, I am a fall risk, but like, don't worry about it. I'm really good at it. Okay, I'm an
Super
expert
same.
at falling down.
I got the training in one of my physical therapy sessions. They taught me how to fall, and I've fallen so many times. And people are
Yeah,
like, "Are you okay? Are you good?" I'm like, "I learned. Don't worry. I
yeah,
can basically be a stunt double." And
yeah.
they're like, "What?" It's like it's okay.
That's awesome that you learned through physio. Because I had the physical theatre training, and I didn't realize how much it was helping me until I got a new wheelchair and it didn't have stabilizers put on the back. They hadn't put them in, and I didn't know. And I went up a ramp to go into my house, and it fell backwards as they do. And my combat role training just kicked in, and I'm so lucky because I ended up with was a sprained back, but I would have hit my head straight on the pavement otherwise. And I just opto rolled.
And
So
it always looks worse than it is. I've scared so many people when I've fallen.
yeah.
Just like, you guys, I'm okay, don't worry about it. And they're like,
At
what?
this
No, what?
point, my friends don't even they're just like on hand, but like they do that thing where they like go to catch you, but they're not anywhere near you and can't touch you, and they're like, um I think everybody's used to it now, but I have to tell, like, if I start work in a new environment, I have to let everybody know. That's
Yeah,
what's
no,
fun.
there's always got to be that little warning in the beginning. I've also done a bunch of like extra work and art projects and stuff,
Nice.
and I always warn people in the beginning. I'm like, look, if I look a little unstable, if I look a little wobbly, don't worry about that. It's just how I walk around sometimes, and if I fall over, it is okay. I might need help to get back up, but I'll be
Mhm.
okay. Don't you worry. It happens sometimes. It's not a big deal. And they're like, wait, what? Oh my god, do we need to? And I'm like, you don't need to do anything. Just it's okay. It happens.
Yeah. Oh, so often I have to tell. I think I put on I have a medical ID on my phone, and it says, "Do not call an ambulance, please. And do not do CPR. Thank you."
Yeah, that's that.
Because
Yeah.
yeah, so many things. Uh,
That's so wow. I have thoroughly enjoyed this chat.
Me
So
too.
my last question for you is what is something that you're looking forward to this year?
Ooh, I'm turning 30 this year, and so
Ooh.
that's exciting. Feel like I'm at my most together mentally that I have ever been, most content and comfortable in myself that I've ever been. So I'm glad that I'm going in that way. And this is a weird thing to be looking forward to. Can I give you a couple of things? I'm really bad at being
Yes, as
concise.
many hey, it's all good.
Okay, well, this is a very weird thing to be excited about, but I'm having a monitor put in my chest to measure my heart. And I've had heart problems for maybe forever, but they started to become quite problematic last year. And finally, I saw a cardiologist who was like, "Yeah, this isn't normal." And I was like, "Thank you." So they're gonna measure it for a whole year to get really good data, and I'm just really excited to be, taking the medical steps that are needed to sort of try and figure out what's going on. Um, so there's that, and then I'm hopefully starting back doing some design work and some consulting in design for my old university. And I'm excited to try and pass on the stuff that I've learned, and that will be cool. But we'll see what the bod allows. It might say no work for you. You must stay
No,
in
I
bed.
well, I love that you're even trying. So first of all, snap on this potential
Thank
new
you.
position and on turning 30 and on the heart monitor, like snap all around. Cause
Thank you. Thank you.
I also have heart issues and
Yeah.
I had one of the external monitors
Mm.
on for, oh gosh, they had it on me for like several months. And this shit was so
Wow.
heavy and
They're so
annoying.
itchy as well,
They
the little
are.
pads. Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
It's so fucking
Yeah.
itchy, and I had to and every once a month, I'd be scrubbing off the things, but
Yeah.
they didn't fully come off for
No,
quite some time.
they don't. Yeah.
The wild thing they found out about my heart was that only the right side was working, and the left
Mm.
side was only pumping at, like, 16%,
Mm.
and it was supposed to be at, like, 50 something percent, and they said I could have dropped dead at any time. And I was
Oh my
like,
god.
"Wait, what?" And I was like, "How long has my heart been like this?" They're like, "We don't know, but your old doctor should have told you." And I was like, "Nobody told me anything."
Oh, so they already knew and they just didn't think
They
you needed
knew,
to know.
they knew, and my new doctors told me, and I was just like, "Holy shit, oh my god."
Oh
So
my god.
now I'm on umpteen heart medications,
Yeah.
and my heart is only now at like 42%. And they
Yeah.
said it won't ever get higher because of all the damage that was done in my heart while it wasn't functioning.
Mm.
And I'm just like, if I could go and kick some of these old doctors in the
Oh my
shin
god.
for
I
not,
imagine setting them on fire. In my mind's eye, when you're telling me this, I have become emblazed with flames
you know,
from
you
within,
know.
and I'm gonna set them all on fire.
I'm just
Oh,
like, wow, you guys, you really made my heart shitty. And it did, no, that's the
yeah.
one of the wild things. Like if we were believed in the very beginning, some of
Yeah.
the damages that happened to our like I didn't necessarily have to become an amputee. I didn't have to have my heart have all this damage or have all this nerve damage throughout my whole body or have my lupus flare up so much, but it's because of the medical, the racism, the ableism, the
Yeah.
sexism, the egos that you've been talking, like it's like,
Incompetence.
and it's
Yeah.
just, and wildly, just like you, I've had so many talks with other women who were then diagnosed with lupus because they were having similar issues.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, actually, have them look at this, have them look at that, do this blood test, go see this doctor, don't see that doctor.
Yeah.
And now they've gotten actual diagnoses and care. And so
You
it
shouldn't
really,
have to know. You shouldn't have to have this like vast education in how to deal with the system just to get taken
mhm,
seriously. I've
mhm.
also become that person that like friends come to and friends direct other friends to ask about medical stuff before like to prep because they've been to the doctors and the doctors have just dismissed them. And then it
Mhm,
turns out they get diagnosed with often EDS and other
mhm.
autoimmune and things like that.
No, that's so true. And some people like my brother, he had a motorcycle accident years and years ago. And when I was in the hospital with him, I was asking all these very pointed questions. And they were like, are you a doctor? Are you a nurse? And I'm like, no, I just have a chronic illness.
Yeah.
And it is my
And they
job
hate
to know
that.
about. They hate, oh my
They
God.
hate
And
it.
I went harder then. And that's why he's out of the hospital now. And he's totally fine. And he's married and has
Well
three
done.
kids because I
Oh,
showed up for him because I wasn't gonna
yeah.
let them do to him what they did to me.
Yeah.
And so I showed up and I was just like, no, you guys are not going to do that. Not on my
Mm,
watch. Not even a little
good.
bit.
Mm,
So it's just wild as hell. Oh, the
yeah.
freaking medical industrial complex. Woo, we could have 20,000 more hours of conversation about this.
I
I'm
could talk about it forever.
Um, so is there anything else that you want to share with the audience or the community about yourself, about your life, about all the things?
Oh. I mean, I'm happy to answer any other questions if there's anything, or if I didn't answer anything and you thought you missed that, let me know. Because I do get carried away. I get lost in my mind trying to answer a question thoroughly. Um, but I think, yeah, when at the moment I'm trying to do the social media thing. I'm not managing to post as much as I'd like to because I have chronic illness. But I think, yeah, I think everybody should be trying to express themselves however it's best for them, creatively or through whatever way works for you. It's just like talking about it. Um, I do a lot of writing songs about my anger towards all of the situations that we've talked about, and also the grief. I think that's something I would like to explore is the connection between disability and grief. For like grieving yourself and the life that you were told you would have or that you expected, etc. Um, yeah, there's so many things that I love talking about all this stuff. So
Well, I didn't know that you wrote a song, so next time you're on, because I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm gonna have you on again, and I would love to have some songs because I think that that would be beautiful to hear.
oh, like a we could perform it, you mean? Live?
Yes, yes,
Ah,
I
I
would
so
love
I've
that.
just started doing that. I love music so much. My parents are both musicians, so I grew up with it, but I could never read the music because of my visuals now. Um, and it's something that just became a really important way of processing all the difficult things was writing songs about it and just like feeling the music. And I stopped performing when I after my after I had to leave uni and I became housebound and had to be cared for because I was so unwell. Um, and I started performing again for the first time in a decade just a couple of months ago. So that's
I
been
love
really
it so
magical.
much. Oh my
And
god.
it's really nice. So, but I'm very not, I've lost my skills in some ways. So I'm getting back there with the vocal strength because I also lost my ability for speech for a while. And we're still building it back up. It's pretty good as I can chat forever, but get always it doesn't always come out the way I want it to come out. But I've always found it easier with music. That's a really interesting thing I learned about my disability is that when I lost the ability to speak, I could still sing songs that I knew by heart because it's like a different process in the brain. So yeah, music's very special to me, and that would
Well,
be really cool.
I love that so much. And whenever you are ready, I would love for you to come back on and do a couple of songs and we could do a little interview in the middle. It'll be a little tiny desk right here.
Yay!
And I love it so much. And I also am
Oh,
a performer. Years ago, I did spoken word poetry
oh, so
and
cool.
singing as well. And I recently started doing some stand up comedy, and it's been really fun. I'm stunned at how
I
fun it
would
is.
love to see that. Stand up is hard.
Yes, yes,
That's
it is
really
hard,
cool. Really, really
but I've
cool.
been having fun with it. So I'm like, you
Yeah,
know what? I'm gonna just lean on in. So I'm all about supporting performers and artists of all kinds, and so I would love to have you back on to do some performing because I think
that
people
would be
would
super
really enjoy
fun.
that.
In the meantime, I have started doing tiny bedroom concerts on TikTok Live. Very sporadically. It depends how my because I can't have a schedule at the moment because my body doesn't agree to time, doesn't think time exists. Um, but yeah, I've been doing it just so I can. I decided to stop trying to be perfect and stop trying to wait until, you know, I'm not gonna regain the same kind of voice and the same kind of, neurological processes as I once had. I gotta work differently. So I'm not waiting for it to be perfect anymore. So I've started doing these concerts in order to fuck up and just get over it.
I
So
love that so much.
that's been good.
There's this saying that I heard in my group therapy last year that we should focus on progress, not perfection.
Yes. Yeah.
Because perfection is the enemy of the good.
Yeah.
And
And it's not real.
at all, even a little bit. So
Yeah.
do you. That's it. And I have a
Yeah.
lot of people like who some people criticize the way I do these podcasts. They're like, oh, they're not polished. You're not doing this, you're not doing that. And I'm just like, I don't give a fuck about doing anything. I just want to get our voices out there
Yeah.
and get our faces out there and do the thing. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done.
Yeah. And it's
So
all like a learning process as well. Like the more you do whatever it is you want to do, it will just start falling into place, I think.
that is the damn truth. Wowee. Well, girl, you have been so inspiring and such a delight. I have
You too. It's
enjoyed,
been wonderful.
thoroughly enjoyed chatting with you. All of the ways to reach out to Rosanna will be in the show notes. I hope you all enjoyed this episode as much as I did. And I hope you come back to hear some of her songs because I can't wait to hear them as well. And I hope you all have a wonderful evening. And thank you so much for listening to this episode. Bye, y'all.